Welcome to Personal Development Mastery Podcast, where you will find both the inspiration to grow and the actions to implement towards your next level. I am your host, 𝗁𝗁𝗀𝗃, and I've been on a journey of personal development and self-mastery for 6 years now, and my mission is to inspire you to stand out and take action towards living your best life. In this podcast, I invite myself inside the minds of authors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, exceptional people who will inspire you to improve your life and also give you actions you can take and implement. So, on my ongoing journey of the podcast, on Thursday's episodes, I now focus on consolidation. Repetition is the mother of all learning, as they say. So instead of adding more knowledge, I revisit the previous episodes and consolidate the wisdom imparted by my guests. In today's episode, the topic is beliefs. Our beliefs, in particular our limiting beliefs, how they determine our reality and how to change them. I revisit 4 of the previous episodes and share the wisdom of my guests 𝗿𝗲𝘀, Sophia Vasiliou, Stephen Doran and Nicole Laino. And the first one we will listen to is 𝗿𝗲𝘀. Rob is a master-level mindset coach and he has taught for companies like Mindvalley. In our conversation, Rob spoke of beliefs using the analogy of the lens, like the lens of our glasses, and how important it is to look at our beliefs rather than through them. So let's listen to 𝗿𝗲𝘀.
Yeah, so it's the way I usually share that is that there's 2 functions of a lens. And most of us are only aware of one of them, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I literally, just to start from the very beginning, I'm talking about lenses like your glasses, right? Like you were holding on to. Contact lenses. If people don't wear glasses, they've certainly looked through a microscope or a telescope, right? The function of a lens that we're all aware of is it alters what we see, right? It changes what we see. And the right lens can alter it in a way that's really helpful, right? My glasses are definitely a big help to me. But if I were to just put randomly any glasses on, or I were to put many glasses on, right? All of a sudden I can't see very well, right? Now, that's interesting, right? So lenses alter what we see. That's a really important concept to get. The second concept that most people don't think about is that lenses are built to be invisible, right? They're not built to be considered. They're actually built to be looked through and kind of forgotten, right? So while I'm wearing my glasses, I don't really consider my glasses ever. I just bebop through the world dealing with this altered thing. Yeah. So much so that if I wore rose-colored glasses, quite literally, in the beginning I might notice that it's different, but eventually that would become normalized to me. Like I wouldn't consider that the world was any other way. And in fact, if I really didn't know I was wearing rose-colored glasses, I wouldn't know any other colors other than, the rose tint that I'm looking through. Well, the analogy is that our beliefs and our thinking is very much like that, right? Our thoughts and our beliefs alter our perception in a deeply meaningful way, but they too are built to be invisible, right? We take them on to be the truth of the situation. So if I take on a belief about politics, right, and I don't know, I can't see that it's my belief, I'm actually looking through the lens of it, I only see the truth of that perspective, right? And so if that's a limit, like I'm not enough, or I don't like money, or whatever those things are, I'm now being altered by that, but I'm not considering it as only a certain lens that I could be wearing. It seems like truth, just like this seems like my real vision once I forget about my glasses, right? So the fundamental shift is to actually be able to take off the lenses, the beliefs that you're holding that are holding you back, and actually look at them and shine them up or throw them away, put on better ones, like get to the right lenses that are the most useful, that most helpful to you, that are not delusional, that don't get you to a place that's like, saying, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire, when you're not, is delusional. That's not helpful. But saying, I love growing my money and I love, showing up so that I can make money might be really useful, right? So what's the right lens, the important lens to put on? So it's not just about any old affirmation. It's about taking on and really taking in to your sense of self and your beliefs the right lenses that are good, and ultimately growing the meta skill of being able to see lenses. So back to glasses for a second, I would consider these lenses as soon as there was raindrops on them, right? That would make me aware of my lenses, and I'd have to take them off and clean them to put them back on. Or if I had scratches in my lenses, I would know that I would have to go get new glasses, right? Mm-hmm. But with our beliefs, because they're so hard to see, we often don't notice the scratches, and we end up with really messed up glasses that we're looking through on the world. Yeah. And through that, we self-sabotage. We hold ourselves back. We live very limited, sheltered, often very safe lives. But the world isn't as dangerous in the same ways that it used to be. So we've taken on all these safety protection mechanisms that are really holding us back to what's deeply possible for us.
Mm-hmm. The next one we will listen from is Sophia Vasiliou, who was featured on episode 157. Sophia is a healer, a certified 𝘁_K practitioner, and a shaman, having worked in Peru at the Ayahuasca Foundation for over 3 years. In our conversation, she discussed how our beliefs and perceptions create our reality. And she said that the perception of reality is more important in our experience than what is actually there. Let's listen to Sophia describe this.
I was attending a lecture by Dr. Bruce Lipton last year or so, and he was showing a paper from Modern Psychology Journal, which said, we used to think that seeing is believing, but now research is really showing that believing is seeing. And the perception of reality is more important in our experience than what's actually there. Mm-hmm. And, for me, that was just mind-blowing. With the 𝘁_K work that I do, which is about reprogramming the subconscious beliefs, I understood that, but just hearing it in that way was just, a real wow moment, is like that powerful. And I guess one way of explaining it would be two people having, a similar experience. One's afraid of dogs and one loves dogs. Mm-hmm. And a barking dog runs up towards them. Now, one goes into a terror response and one goes into a growth and happiness response. Mm-hmm. Now, there's nothing different there except their perception of what that dog is. And yet they're having a completely different physiological experience. They've gone into fight or flight or into growth and repair. One's heart is completely open. One is shutting down their immune system and getting blood to their limbs to run. And so actually triggering, small DNA changes because environment not safe, need to do X, Y, and Z to make me stronger. Mm-hmm. So, the cognitive functions shift, and so their decision-making will be instinctual rather than creative. And, there's no difference between what's happening and the external perspective. So even though the outside reality can be exactly the same, your perceptions completely changed the event. And again, this is where we realize many people say, oh, you're not the center of the universe. You really are the center of your universe, because your perceptions filter your reality completely. And so, the way I see the world is completely different to anyone else. Mm-hmm. And no one else will exactly be able to understand the way I perceive this external reality. Mm-hmm. It's like one person has red glasses on and someone else has blue, someone else has violet. They'll all see roughly the same thing, but from a completely different color range. And then when you change a belief, it's like you change from blue to red. Like, whoa, I never knew the world could look like that or be like that, because it's always been red or always been blue.
The next one of my guests that we will listen from is Stephen Doran, who was featured on episode 69. Stephen is a peak performance coach, an NLP trainer, and the author of the best-selling book 𝗿𝗲𝘂_𝗆𝗋. And Stephen discussed about our subjective view of reality and how our perception affects it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, this is. I'm smiling because you're saying exactly what I think, and I don't think any of us have a real idea of reality because everybody just has a subjective view. And I heard an interesting example in a book I was reading recently, and the guy said he was speaking about drawing water from a well, and in the book, it's a debate between a philosopher and a young student. And the philosopher says to the young student, he says, "Have you ever drank water from a well? I'm not sure if you're maybe too young." And the student says, "No, I did many years ago from my nan's well in the summer. I remember the water was lovely and cool." And the philosopher said, "Well, actually, the water is the same temperature all year round. It's 18 degrees from the well. So whether it's the winter or whether it's the summer, the water in the well stays exactly the same. But if you drink it in the winter, it feels warm. And if you drink it in the summer, it feels cold." And he said that the water is objective. You know, it doesn't change, but the environment around it is almost like the perceptions, they change. And I just thought it was a nice example of objectivity. And we do have this, every single thing in this world, we ascribe a meaning to it. And we don't interact with what's real. We interact with the meanings that we put on things. And this is where I'm very big on, if you are not happy with something, then you need to do one of two things. You need to either change what you do, or you need to change what you think. And what I mean is you need to either change the process, so the way that you're dealing with something or the things that you're doing, or you need to change the perception, so the way that you're looking at the thing that's bothering you. And I can't find many or any examples where one of those two things isn't applicable: change your process or change your perception.
And the last one from our guests that we will listen from today is Nicole Laino, who was featured on episode 112. Nicole is a business and success coach and a Reiki master. She calls herself a type A hippie. Nicole talked about our limiting beliefs in a different way because she spoke about the emotions attached to them. So let's listen to her describe this.
Realizing, so there's a lot of talk about limiting beliefs, and we have limiting beliefs that hold us back. And while that is 100% true, I became really obsessed with limiting beliefs and a few years ago, and working through them, journaling, doing all the things that everybody does with limiting beliefs. And I couldn't really overcome some of them. Some of them are easy. And then some of them, you're doing affirmations, you're trying to turn them around. Like that's kind of, I think the misconception is that you just need to flip it around. And the truth is that and what my realization over the last year was that it's not the belief, it's the emotion that's tied to the belief. And if you can dig out and you can make peace with that emotion, then you can change the belief. The belief is attached to nothing then. You've exposed it. You've made peace with the part that's gluing it to you. And once you do that, you can truly be free of it.
I hope you found something valuable among these parts of the conversations, and also something actionable, something you can implement yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, I certainly intend to do more of them to condense the wisdom contained in these conversations and distill it in a way into actionable items that you can pick up and implement in order to change and grow and improve your life. But I would like your help. Tell me, what is your biggest challenge? What kind of content would you like to hear? Go to personaldevelopmentmasterypodcast.com and send me a message. And a quick question before I go. Have you ever thought of having your own podcast, sharing your voice, making an impact, but you don't have the time or the computer skills to learn how to create and launch a podcast? If that resonates, then I have a solution for you. A solution that takes away all the complexity and allows you to concentrate only on creating your content. Go to my website, 𝗁𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗹𝗲, and and get your free copy of my guide on how to create and launch your podcast in 7 simple steps. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.